Alrighty. Awesome. 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 If you guys can hear me, I want to make sure you can hear me. If you could put like a thumbs up in the chat so I know that my volume is working, that would be fantastic. Hey guys, for those of you that are on, if you could put like we can hear you or a thumbs up in the chat, that would be helpful. Hey guys. If you can hear me, can you put a thumbs up in the chat for me so I know that my volume is working? Thank you. Awesome. Okay, guys, we are 1 minute away from 1 o'clock. So I'm going to wait just another minute or so and then we will get started. Thank you so much for showing up today. All right. Little different today because we're on YouTube and I know my Facebook and Instagram family is not used to this platform. So I am expecting and anticipating that much of this content is probably going to be shared and watched on replay, which is totally cool. We're totally getting adjusted to the new stuff. I know I am. I don't know about you guys, but I'm getting adjusted. So, all right, my loves. Well, happy Sunday. Happy Labor Day weekend. I am super thrilled that you guys are here today. I am excited to talk about our subject today. We are launching the Worthy channel. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Brianna Valdez. I am just a motivator, just a woman of God trying to share good news and word and hopefully sharing life experience to talk a little bit about, what's going on with me versus what's going on with you. And if it jives, awesome. But I have some very, very specific word that we're going to share today. And I hope if at the very least, it inspires you to understand that God is working in your life, regardless of, and I tell people this all the time, regardless if you are a believer or you're on the fence or you're not sure, you're still trying to figure it out. That's totally cool. None of us are here to judge. We're just here to share and to teach. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the word today. Today, the word is called get on the boat. For all my boat people out here, my sailors, my fishermen, my people that love the water. I'm a Pisces, so I naturally love the water, but we're going to talk about getting on the boat today. So we're going to have a lot of boat analogies and things that have to do with the water. So hopefully for my fisher friends, like you might actually like this word. I do want to first off, because I do this with all of my broadcasts. I want to first say thank you for being here, friends. And I just want to pray with you. I want to pray with you and open up the word with prayer just so we can invite God into this space and he can use me to be a vessel today. So I'm just going to take a couple seconds. Father God, thank you for this time. Thank you for this space, for all of those who are under my voice today and hear this word. I ask that there is a blessing that comes to them, a blessing that comes to their life, and a blessing that comes from you through me. Let me be totally a vessel today to express and share whatever is supposed to be shared. I thank you for this day. I thank you for all the wonderful friends that are going to hear this word. And in Jesus' mighty name we pray, amen. All right, friends. So here we go. We're going to talk about boats. We're going to talk about boats and why you should get on the boat. Okay. So when I got this word, I didn't really understand like what the heck God was saying when he was talking about like getting on boats and like why we should get on the boat. But as I started to sit with it, I recognized that many of us, including myself, are in what we refer to as transition seasons. What does that mean? Or transformation seasons. It means that a lot of folks are going through changes. Some people are sitting in the middle of their life and are wondering like, what, I don't like where my life is. I'm waiting for a change, but I don't know how to change it. Maybe you're changing jobs. Maybe you got out of a relationship. Maybe you're coming into a new season or a new space and you're just kind of trying to figure out what or how the heck is my life supposed to go. So this talk about transition and transformation has everything to do with this word today. So story time. Let's talk a little bit about stories. So I right now live in Dallas, Texas. I am born and raised in Texas, but if you're a Texan, you probably know a lot about floods. Many of us are not, we are not unaccustomed to hurricanes, floods, or storms or things that hit us. When I lived in Houston, we got hit by hurricanes quite a bit. And I share this story because there was a young woman. She was young at the time. We're the same age. And so, like, I don't know if we're considered young anymore. But anyway, we had a terrible flood in Houston. And ultimately, thankfully, I never was in a position where I had to evacuate my house and my whole home was taken. But for those of you who have, my prayers to all of you. I know that natural disasters can be devastating. So, a friend of mine, and this came up like literally right when this word was coming, reached out to me from Houston. I hadn't spoken to her in years, but we were in a hurricane space together, and her house actually, she ended up having to stay at my home because her house got flooded. She had to be evacuated by boat because her house was so flooded that like literally like they were on the like literally had to move to the roof of the house in order for them to evacuate. So why is this relevant? Well, obviously when something like that happens and everything that you've ever paid like loved, cherished, or you own in your home is taken by a storm or water or natural disaster, and you have to get on a boat and leave not knowing what you'll come back to or if you'll ever come back, heck, that is freaking scary. Like nobody wants to have to do that. Nobody wants to get on that boat and have to leave their home not knowing like if I'm ever going to come back. And many times in our life when we have to transition or get on a boat to move somewhere, and this is again an analogy, like you're moving from one space to the other, it's normally not fun. So, or you might be afraid, or you're like, I'm not really sure, and I'm not really sure about that boat because I don't really like boats, But normally there can be things that happen to us very unexpectedly, and we're trying to figure out, like, do I really want to get on this boat? I don't really want to change. I like my life the way it is. I like my house. I like the things that are going on in my world. I don't want to change them. And so we're very reluctant. And that's okay to whether or not we're going to get on the boat. So I want to talk a little bit about, I always have 3 points. For those of you that watch me, I always have 3 points. And I have 3 points again today. But I want to chat a little bit about what those points are. So point number 1 is, why do we get on boats? Because let's face it, we don't always get on a boat because we're trying to escape something. That was just a story I shared of someone who was going through something crazy and got on a boat because she was trying to escape a disaster. And in our lives, sometimes we have disastrous seasons, things that seem crazy. Some of us are going through really tumultuous times, be it illness, financial loss, relationship loss, things that are insane. And we are looking for a way out. We're looking for an answer. And God may send us a boat to get on, to move to something else. And it may look a little different. It may not be a yacht that he sends. He may send a canoe or, a rowboat. And it's really just to move you from one space to another. It's to move you from one season to the next. So that's important to think about because sometimes when we're sitting in transition, when we're on the boat, we might be sitting in a rowboat or a canoe or a space that isn't that luxurious or isn't maybe what we're used to. But the point is, we're in transition. It's not supposed to be. It's just a time that's moving you from the space you just left to the space you're going into. So going back to my friend's story, right, who had to leave her house because it flooded, obviously when she went back to her house after she had been evacuated by boat, everything was destroyed, right? Like I mean there wasn't really a home to go back to. They ultimately were going to have to relocate and having to figure out what that looked like required her to get help. Like she spent time living with family and friends. They ultimately had to get funding so they could rebuild the house. This was all a transition process. None of it was comfortable. None of it was what she had asked for, but it was a transition process. And getting on that boat and leaving her home that day, it symbolized something that she was going to have to start something new, whether she wanted to or not. Okay. Now that's important, guys, because many times when we have to get on a boat in our lives, it's it may not be because we asked to get on the boat. You may be very well much sitting in a season right now where you're not asking for change. You're not looking for it. Heck, you're not even like you don't even care. Like but the change is upon you. You're in the middle of it. Something surprising happens to us, like you might lose a job. Maybe you're losing a home. I don't know. Maybe you're gaining a new position, and you're being forced to kind of move into something different, and it's scary. It can be overwhelming. All of that is valid, but the whole point in today's word is to get on the boat. Get on the freaking boat. No matter what the change is, no matter what season you're moving to from one season to the next, the point is God wants you to get on the boat. He would have never sent the boat if he didn't want you to get on it. Okay? So, that being said, I want us to just think a little bit about why do we get on boats? Like why would anybody get on a boat? Okay? Like truly. Um, we can use the first example that I shared. Well, many times, sometimes we're trying to escape something. If we're flooded, right, or in a hurricane or a tsunami, like we're trying to get on the boat to be rescued, right? We're being rescued from something crazy that we need to get to safety. The other reason, which most of us probably like can relate to, is recreation. Like some of us love to get on boats. We like to go on cruises. Some of us like love to sail. We do it for recreation. We go out to the water to find peace or to find something and maybe that escape something. Maybe we're escaping like the day-to-day mundane of life and there's peace on boats. We go for recreation. And then one of my favorites, because I come from a family, I lived near the Gulf for quite some time, is fishing. For those of us that love to fish, hey, I feel you. Like you get on a boat because you're going to try to catch something, and I can't really catch much, right? Like chilling on the shore. But if I go out deep into the water on a boat, I'm going to catch some bigger fish. So, point is, there are a number of different reasons that we might get on a boat. Okay. We've been trying to catch something. We are trying to escape something, find peace, or we may be being rescued. There are just a number of different reasons. But regardless of the space that you're in or the season that you're in, the word today is God still wants you to get on the boat. Whatever your motivation, whyever it is that you're wanting to get on the boat or you encounter the boat, whatever it is, get on. Okay. Now, I want to ask you when you're on the boat. Okay. And this is not to my folks that are really like well versed in boats, because some of us are really good in boats, and that's great. But many of us, like me, are not. So, how important to you is it when you get on a boat? Who is the captain of the ship or who's steering the boat? Like, do you pay attention before you step on a boat to who's going to be steering the ship? Who is in charge of this boat that I'm about to get on and embark on these waters? Does this person know how to steer the boat? And if it's me steering the boat, I might really be hesitant, because if I don't know how to steer a boat, God help us, like we are going to be lost at sea somewhere. Okay. So I'm going to do my best though. But the point is, like, of course, we're probably not only, you shouldn't just be concerned about getting on the boat, but who the heck is driving the boat? Okay. So the word reminder today is, regardless, guys, of why you're getting on a boat, why you're changing, why you're moving, whether you're trying to escape something, you're being rescued in a transition space in your life, or you're just going fishing because you're trying to catch some bigger fish. Regardless, you're getting on a boat to try to move somewhere, to go out to deeper waters, to figure something out, find something out, catch something, like transition, move. There's movement in your life. Okay. So, but it is important, who the heck is steering the boat? Who is steering the ship? This is an encouragement today. I hope and pray that, like, God is the captain of that boat and of that ship. It's even better if getting on the boat was as a result of God telling you, hey, you need to get on this boat, because he is your captain. And I want to just rephrase that. I want to just support that by reminding you that God, the Bible talks about, I share this a lot. The Bible talks about everything. And I don't think you guys believe me when I say this, but God even talks about boating in this in the Bible. There are scriptures that refer to anchors and captains and boats, and God uses the word to relate to absolutely everything. So this particular word, Philippians 4:13, reads, and I quote, I can do all things, right, through Christ who strengthens me. God has sent his son on earth to save us from our sins, to lead us and to guide us. He is our captain who will steer our ship into calm and still waters. Okay. So, regardless of whatever that boat represents in your life, why ever you're getting onto a boat or moving into a transition or trying to go into a new phase of life, whatever that vehicle is, okay, in terms of why you're moving or what you're moving to, just take God with you and let him steer the ship. Now, what does that mean? That means that if I'm on a boat or I'm in the middle of a transition and I'm not really sure which way to go or how I'm supposed to be moving, it makes sense for me to ask God and to bring him into the space so that he can help me navigate. Like, if I don't know anything about ocean steering or which way I'm supposed to go from a navigation perspective, I want to make sure that I'm talking to the one who created the ocean, the one who created the boats, the one who knows everything. Like, bring him into the equation, especially when you're moving through seasons where you're trying to move, be it you're being rescued, be it you're trying to escape, or be it that you're just trying to go out there and catch a dream or catch a bigger fish or find something better for your life. When God is steering your ship, you cannot go wrong. Period. Period. All right, my loves. Okay. So we get out on the boat. We're on the boat. Yay, us. We got on the boat. Okay. We're there. God's chilling with us. Jesus is chilling on the boat. We're cool. But as we all know, like, it's the freaking ocean, right? We're not chilling in the pool. Like, we're out in the water. We're out here. Now, y'all, I don't know. I love the water, but I do respect the ocean. I respect the ocean because that's a different kind of water. That is God's swimming pool. And there are a lot of things in the ocean and a lot of things about the ocean we still don't even know. So even if I get on the boat and even if I'm with a very skilled person on the boat who understands boats and waves and how the ocean works, I still am praying. I'm just letting y'all know, if I ever get on a boat with y'all, I'm going to be praying, because I believe that God is still the best captain for how we're going to end up in this ocean space. So God is on the boat with us. That does not mean that once we're on the boat, we're not going to run into storms. We're not going to run into rough waters, and that it's going to be smooth sailing when we're out here. Anybody who knows, any deep sea fishermen, anyone who understands the ocean or travels a lot by water understands that the ocean cannot be tamed. The waters many times are rough, and you just never know when you're going to encounter a season or a rough patch of water, you have to be prepared. So, second point, point number two, are we encountering rough waters or smooth sailing? And most of the time, it's probably both. Okay. So, there is a quote that I want to share with you here, and I thought it was really applicable. And it reads, "The pessimist complains about the wind. The optimist expects it to change. And the realist just adjusts his sails." So, which one are you? Like, which one are you in those storms when you're sitting on a boat and the wind starts to pick up and the waves start to move? You're probably a little afraid because we're encountering choppy waters. Like, did you really expect that when we got on the boat that we were never going to encounter any waters that were going to be rough? Did you anticipate that we were going to be smooth sailing the whole time? Or did you maybe think about, hey, you know what? We might actually encounter something that we didn't expect. And so I need to adjust the sails. I need to be fluid. I need to be flexible in my response because we could encounter something that I didn't anticipate. And so basically in this quote it says the realist just adjusts the sails. In other words, I expected that potentially I could come across something. So even though I got in the boat, even though I'm sitting in the middle of change and I'm trying to figure out something in my world and it's not ideal already, the realistic view in this is that don't anticipate that it's just going to be smooth sailing simply because you're in the boat and you actually took a step to get into a place that God told you to move. It doesn't mean that the waters aren't going to get rough. It doesn't mean that there isn't going to be something you have to overcome or a challenge that we have to face. You're in the ocean. 9 times out of 10, you're going to hit rough waters. You're going to hit waves. We're going to be thrown around a little bit. Okay. And it's not to say that you can't be afraid, but it is to say that you should expect to figure out how to navigate rough waters along with smooth sailing. And the way we do that is we adjust our sails and we prepare. We prepare for the change. You know, they say like preparation is the beginning and the closest thing to perfection. How we prepare for something in our life tells us whether or not how we're going to respond and how well we're going to do when that thing actually happens. So I don't know about you guys. My kids always laugh at me because when we travel, I'm one of those like extra preparers. Like I'm bringing first aid kits, extra snacks. And most of my moms out here, like you do the same thing. We're prepared for anything, like everything, like extra cords for phones. We're bringing, extra clothes in case something happens. We want to make sure that the car has a spare tire, that we have extra, whatever the heck extra we need, we are prepared because we just don't know. Okay, guys, the same goes for the seasons of our lives, especially in a transition season when we're on a boat and not on land. When we're in water, water is fluid and we're moving. Even if we just didn't do anything and we just sat in the boat and no motor got turned on or nobody moved, the waves are naturally going to carry us. We're in a fluid time where movement is happening even when we're not doing anything. So it's important to remember that when I go into these spaces of transition, especially if I'm sitting in one right now, I should expect movement and I should be prepared. I should be prepared to be flexible, adjust. And it doesn't mean that it's comfortable because it's not. I don't know if you guys have ever been on a boat, but like sometimes it's really uncomfortable. Heck, you might even get seasick and need to take some Dramamine or whatever because being on boats is not comfortable. Seasons of movement and transition are not comfortable. They make us very uncomfortable. But it doesn't mean that we can't get through it. It just means that our mindset and we have to change the way we think when we're in those spaces and be prepared because I'd rather be prepared for a rough area or rough waters and encounter them with preparation than to not be prepared and expect that, okay, I'm here, everything's going to go smooth. And then I panic because all of a sudden we encounter a storm. It's important, guys, that when we're walking in this thing called life, that we allow ourselves to be fluid and adjust to the journey. Okay. So keep adjusting, keep moving, keep allowing yourself to be fluid as you're going through these things. Okay. Because it can be tough. Nobody said it was going to be easy. God actually tells us, when Jesus came to this earth, and he walked the earth and he died and rose again, he said, you will have troubles in this world. Heck, Jesus himself had troubles in this world. So you can guarantee that you're going to be met with challenges. You can guarantee you're going to be met with troubled waters. You can guarantee you're going to encounter rough patches. That's a guarantee. But wouldn't you rather encounter those patches prepared? Wouldn't you rather have God at the helm of the ship? Like, for real? In the time that you're encountering these spaces, so that you can go ask him, hey, God, I know you created the ocean and stuff, and here we are right in the middle of this storm. And I'm just wondering, are we going to make it to the other side? I know you got this, but I'm just wondering. And here's the crazy thing, like, God already knows, like, we're human. He knows how we act, how we respond. So he'll answer. He'll be like, yeah, we're cool. Now, you may want to put a life jacket on and don't sit outside on the boat. Get inside in the interior and take something for nausea because you may throw up a few times. God didn't say that we wouldn't have trouble or that you wouldn't be uncomfortable. He just said you would make it to the other side and you would make it there safely. He did promise that. So if you get a little seasick, if you get a little wet, if you're a little unnerved because the season you're sitting in while you're on the boat, you're being shaken up a little bit, it's okay. The troubles are not forever, and it's only a season. And as long as you can adjust your sails and you anticipate and are prepared that, hey, things may get a little worse before they get a little better. Doesn't it seem like that sometimes? Like when we're going through like crazy seasons, like sometimes our life gets worse before it gets better. Sometimes like we encounter even crazier things, before we encounter some smooth, calm waters. And that's okay. It grows us internally. It helps our character. It's character building. It allows us to be better people. It allows us to be prepared, and it gives us some great testimonies. Because I don't know about y'all, but water people like fisher, if you know people that are fishermen or people that spend a lot of time in the water, y'all, they have some of the best stories ever. If you don't have any of these friends, I highly recommend that you might want to just get some or just listen to stories of people who have had a lot of experience out on the water. It's just like pilots, people that are in the air a lot or planes, like they have great stories and testimonies to things that they've experienced or things that they've seen because they've been in a space of movement, of fluid for so long, and they understand. They're very adaptable. They're usually calm under pressure. They know how, and they're some of the best people you want in like crazy situations because these are people that know how to navigate rough waters and are always prepared and understand that change is inevitable. So, good stuff. So, rough waters or smooth sailing, most of the time, when you are in a transition space or you got on a boat, you should expect both. Doesn't mean you're going to encounter both. Doesn't mean that you're going to go through rough waters. It doesn't mean that. But in the event that you do, be prepared and be fluid and adjust and don't panic. Don't panic. You should expect both in any season where you're transitioning. Okay? All right. So, scripture real quick. God promises, he says, I will be with you. Through rivers, you shall not be swept away. When you walk through fire, you shall not be burned, nor flames consume you. This comes from Isaiah 43:2. Now, as uplifting as this is, this wonderful word that God tells us about, like that we're good, that we can actually walk through fire and we're not going to be burned and the flames aren't going to consume us. That sounds really nice, but it doesn't mean it ain't going to be hot as heck in there. It doesn't mean that you might not get some smoke inhalation and choke a little bit. It doesn't mean any of that. And that's the crazy thing. Like God shares with us, like, hey, you know, I will be with you, and you won't get swept away on the water. Like, it's not like they're going to take your boat and you're going to drown. But that doesn't mean you won't get tossed up a little bit. And, you might not hit a few waves and make you a little sick, or somebody might get tossed over and come back. Like, I didn't say all that. I just said, like, you wouldn't get swept away and the flames wouldn't consume you. So just remember, like, God doesn't promise that we're not going to go through tumultuous waters. He doesn't promise that things might not get a little rough. They absolutely might get rough before they get better. So just be prepared and chill and hang with people who are prepared too. Like, maybe find somebody who, like, if I'm gonna go out on the boat, find people that know about boats and know about the water, because it makes sense, right? To hang with people who know a few things. That's a good thing. All right. Point number 3. Um, and our last point is, do you have an anchor? Hmm. And what are you anchored with? Now, we all know about anchors, right? I hope we do. Y'all, you know what's funny? So I was like Googling this, like Googling like anchors and stuff online, and especially things about, like, um being grounded, and the first thing that popped up, which I thought was funny, was insurance. Like, having insurance, when you go out on a boat. Like, and at first I was like, what in the world? Like, why is insurance popping up? But then as I started to think about it, I was like, well, heck, let's think about this. Because if I don't have an anchor, right, to something in my life, or I don't know what's anchoring me or holding me down, or what I'm grounded in, I hope that I have a very good insurance policy, because I might drift away somewhere. God knows what the heck's going to happen to me. And I might need just a really good life insurance policy too. So I just thought that was funny. Like, I Googled anchors and it started telling me all about, like, insurance with boats and insurance with like life insurance, like when you go out, on some kind of water adventure. So just make sure you have good insurance, guys. Okay. But let's talk a little bit about anchors. Do you have an anchor? Does the boat that you're getting on have an anchor? When you got on the boat, did you make sure it had an anchor? Do you know what it's anchored with? Not only who's driving and steering the ship, because obviously that's important, right? We want to know who's captain of the ship, but we also want to make sure we have an anchor, because God forbid that if we get into a space where we need to drop our anchor and ground ourselves for a minute, we need to make sure we have an anchor to drop. And we need to make sure that we know where we're anchored. And this is why captains and people who, like, know boats are really important, guys, because you can't just be dropping an anchor anywhere. That's the funny part too. Like, we go out in the ocean, and I learned this having friends and going out deep sea fishing with friends. You cannot just drop an anchor anywhere. You have to know the topography of the ocean to know how deep the ocean is in certain spaces, and if your anchor is actually going to reach a bottom somewhere so it can anchor, or if you're up against like like a shoreline or something. You have to have something to anchor to. You can't just drop an anchor and pray to God that it's going to catch on to something, because it may not. So make sure, one, you have an anchor, but again, what are you anchored to? And where are you anchored? So obviously, when we're going through rough seasons in our life and we talk about what's holding you down, when I talk about anchors, I'm talking about what is holding you down. What is holding you down? Who is holding you down? Because when you're going through rough stuff in your life, you need things to hold you down. You need people to hold you down. You need something to hold on to. Heck, you're on the freaking water. Like, you need to hold on to something. The best thing, obviously, the answer to it is God. Like, God is the anchor. He is our anchor. He makes certain that no matter who leaves you, no matter when they left you, no matter what circumstance you're in, you can always go to God. Always, 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 always. I tell y'all all the time, Jesus is my ride or die. That is the truth. He is the truth, the way, and the light, period. Period. I don't care what you're going through. I don't care if you talked to him 20 years ago. I don't care if you have never spoken to him. It doesn't matter. He is loyal. beyond loyal. He is the most loyal friend you'll ever have. He can show up in any storm. He's got wings. So if you're in the middle of the ocean and you in turmoil and you dial 911, he's gonna answer. The anchor that you need in your life is Jesus. The one that you need to call on is God. That is that is the best anchor you could possibly have. Now, some of you may argue with me, some of you that know boats really well, that there are these great anchors that we can purchase. Fantastic. I guarantee we should have them. And there are some people in your life that are probably like good anchors for you, people that are really grounded, people that support you, that speak positive things into your life, people that know they show up, they are loyal and reliable. Those are the people you want in your life, not the fickle ones, not the ones that are fair weather friends, the ones that show up every 4 months just to say hello and only want things from you. And then the rest of the year, they don't know who the heck you are. No, that is not energy, nor is it people that you need in your life. And it's certainly, those are not people that are going to hold you down. How can they? They have no idea what's going on in your life the majority of the time. So they can't hold you down. So be careful with who and what you're asking to hold you down. Why? Because God doesn't want us to be disappointed, but God doesn't disappoint us. If you think about most of the things in our life where we've been disappointed, it's been people that disappoint us. It's the faith that we put into people. It's the trust that we put into people. That is what's been disappointing, not God. It's the people that have betrayed us. It's the people that don't show up. It's the people that we thought were going to be reliable that aren't. So be careful, like where you put your loyalty. Be careful who you depend on and who you rely on, because God is a rock. God is going to show up all the time, but people, not so much. And it doesn't mean that like people don't have things going on and they're mean spirited or they're trying to be bad people. And just people get caught up, just like we all do. But when you are going through a season of change and you're in tumultuous waters and you are needing something to grab onto, you don't need fickle people in your life. You don't need things you can't rely on. You don't need things that aren't loyal to you. You need things you can rely on. You need something you can grab onto that's going to grab onto you and is going to hold you down during this time. You need an anchor. And that anchor is spelled with 3 letters, G-O-D. Okay. You down with G-O-D? Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I need y'all to be down with G-O-D. Okay. Because G-O-D is the one anchor that's going to anchor you in every situation, no matter what you're going through. Hebrews 6:19 reads, we have this hope as an anchor for our soul. And it says, it is firm and secure. It enters the inner sanctuary behind the curtain. I love this. Okay. And you're like, Brianna, I don't even know what that is. And why would I care about an inner sanctuary behind the curtain? Because, guys, okay, here's the thing about having an anchor. Not only do you want to have an anchor, but you want to probably have an anchor that's hidden from your enemies, right? So nobody can mess with your anchor. Because sometimes you will try to ground yourself in life, or you're trying to be cool, you're trying to keep your peace, you ain't trying to mess with nobody, you are just trying to stay in your lane and do you and be anchored in the right things. And you got people who are just not the nicest that come and want to be messing with you. They want to mess with your anchor, they want to upset you, they want to get you riled up, they want to steal your peace, they're jealous of you, they're hating on you. And these people come and start messing with your anchor. Let me tell y'all. And this is why God is so awesome, because he's like ninja, like incognito, like hidden anchors. Yes, he says it enters the inner sanctuary behind the curtain. God knows how, not only when you ground in him, like he's hidden, he will hide you from the world in tumultuous times and keep you safe so that people can't mess with you. He's a hidden anchor. He knows how to work it so that people can't go mess with what you're grounded in. God knows how to play the game. He knows how to hide and when to show and when to not. So when you're grounded with God, you don't have to worry about people messing with your anchor. You don't have to be worried about people coming and messing with you, honey, because when you're anchored in God, can't nobody mess with that. Nobody. Okay. So recognize that even though you're going through tumultuous times, people will still try you, especially people will still try to work your nerves. The enemy will still try to mess with you. He will try to make you believe that you're not worthy. He'll try to make you believe that the season of transition that you're sitting in is your forever season. He'll try to make you believe that your boat is going to turn over, that all kind of stuff, that where you're headed is not worth it. You'll never get there. All this woo yay, God, stop. Tell him to go back to hell where he came from. Okay? You need to speak. You need to speak in faith and in the authority that God has given you. And speak goodness over your life because there is power of life and death in the tongue. So you need to be careful about not only what things you are saying to other people, but what the heck are you saying to yourself about your own life? You need to speak not affirmations like my life is fantastic and God is with me and I'm going to get through this and I'm headed into the best season of my life and I am great and I am loved and I am worthy because you are worthy of great things. But it starts with you believing that. Whether you're in a boat, a sailboat, a yacht, a cruise ship, whatever boat you are on, wherever you're sailing, wherever you're going, you are worthy of the greatness that's sitting on the other side of that space. But the only one, the most important person to believe that is you, my love. You have to believe that you are worthy of that space. You have to believe that you are worthy of the life that you are headed to, regardless of what it looks like right now. Your season right now does not determine where you are headed. Your circumstances right now do not determine who you are. They're just something you're going through. But I'm telling you right now, if you are grounded in God, if you let him steer your ship, let him take you where you're going. If you prepare for the rough waters and the smooth sailing and you get your mind right so you're flexible and you adjust a little bit and you're fluid, and you recognize that you are anchored in the one thing that cannot be stolen, it cannot be destroyed, it cannot be messed with. When you are anchored in those things, you don't have nothing to worry about. You're going to make it. You're going to make it to where you're going. You got on the boat. Get on the boat. Get on the boat, baby, because the only way you're going to move from where you are, whether you're trying to be rescued from something, whether you're trying to escape and find something better, or whether you're just trying to go catch something. The only way you're going to move is if you get on that boat. Get on the boat and take God with you. Let him ride with you. Let him steer the ship. Let him drop the anchor. Let him move. And you just be prepared that you are in a space of transition. And it might be a little rough sometimes, but you're going to get through it. And that destination on the other side that's waiting for you, you're going to make it. And not only are you going to make it, but you're going to have a testimony for other people to tell them how you navigated, how you got on the boat, how you prepared, what you prepared for. And who knows, sometimes God might send you on your boat somewhere to go pick somebody up because they're going through something. So be okay with where you are and understand that this is just a transition. It is only a season. But you must get on the boat in order for you to move from where you are to where you are going. The boat is not forever. The boat is a temporary space. It's a transition vehicle to take you from point A to point B. So don't make it your home unless you really, really love the sea. That's fine. But for the most part, whatever transition circumstances you're going through, whatever headspace you're in, whatever temporary stuff you're enduring, it's temporary. You're not at your destination yet. So don't get yourself and don't allow the enemy to work you up to make you believe you are because you're not. Okay. All right, my love. I want to just remind you that God loves you today and every day, and I love you. And I am so grateful for you guys. Thank you for taking the time to listen and come and chat with me today. I'm going to be on again next Sunday. Guys, do me a favor, please hit the like button on your way out and also subscribe so you will get notified like when I am on. We're going to have this is a brand new channel. So I'm excited. I will continue to do lives every Sunday. But this month, I'm going to be having guests. We're going to have people come on and chat with me. We're just going to have some great new content. So I'm really excited and I want you to be a part of it. So keep telling me your stories, keep doing you. Remember, you are worthy of the life you want. So just keep believing, have faith, and keep going. I love you. Have a blessed day. Take care. Bye, guys.